Sometimes you will need to make several shorter clips from one longer clip. The best way to do this is by making subclips, and in this lesson, you will learn how it's done. Sometimes you'll run into a situation where you will have a really long clip, and there will be several elements that you want to pull out from that clip and use in your sequence. Let's jump into this cutaway bin here and double-click on the microwave cutaway clip. So this is a pretty long clip here, and it shows several things. If we scrub through, you can see there's some opening and shutting of the microwave, and there's two elements that I want out of here. There's the putting the butter into the microwave, which happens right here, and then there's a close-up shot of Cheryl dialing in 30 seconds on the microwave. So if I wanted to use this two separate times as two separate clips, I could mark an in and out point here, add that to my sequence, and then go back and add another in and out point, and then add that to my sequence, or I could make a few subclips. So to do that, I'm going to find the first part of this clip that I want to make into a subclip, which is right here. So I'm going to get Cheryl opening the door right here. So let me back this up a little bit. I'm going to set an in point here, and then I'm going to play this. Okay, right here. I'm going to make an out point here, and then what I'm going to do is hold Control and then pull this down into my project. And that's going to bring up this Make Subclip window here. And now I can rename this. I can leave the main part of the clip named the same, and then I can say butter in or something. And then I have an option to restrict trims to subclip boundaries. I'm going to uncheck this and then click OK. And then you can see it's listed down here as a different icon. And then I will do the same thing. I will scrub along here and find the in point, which is right about here. Set an in point. And then I will select an out point somewhere in this neighborhood. I can also make a subclip from this by coming up here to the menu and choosing Make Subclip, or I can use the keyboard shortcut Control U. So with this selected, I will hit Control U. It's going to bring this up. I will rename this Enter 30. And this time, I will check the box Restrict Trims to Subclip Boundaries. Now, when I pull these into my project, you can see that they're much shorter. And in the project panel here, I have them labeled in a very convenient way so that I can find them later if I need to. I'm going to move the playhead over these two clips, and then I'm going to zoom up on them by holding down Alt and scrolling with the mouse wheel. Now, there were two options that I selected when I made those subclips. The second one, I chose to restrict trims to subclip boundaries. And what that does is it makes it so this clip, I am no longer able to extend the length of this little subclip here. You can see I have those little white triangles at the beginning and the end of this clip, meaning that I can't make this longer than what I have right here. Even though this clip is actually longer, you can see that right up here. This is that clip that I just made. And this original clip is much longer than this, but because I chose restrict trims to subclip boundaries, when I pull that into my sequence, I can no longer make this any longer. I don't really like that, so I'm going to take this and delete it. You can see on this other subclip here, this just shows up like any other clip that I marked an in and out point for. So I can take this and I can pull out the ends of this to make this longer if I want to, and I'm not restricted by that option. So I could take this guy right here in the project panel and delete it, come up here to the source monitor, hit Control U again. This time I'm going to uncheck Restrict Trims to Subclip Boundaries, name that Enter 30, pull that back into the Cutaways folder, because somehow that got moved up. And now when I add this to the project, you can see that I don't have those restrictions on the beginning and the end of this subclip. Now let me go back and I'll undo this just for a second. Now, if you do, for whatever reason, like that option to restrict the trims to the subclip boundaries, you can edit it afterwards. You can come over here to the project panel, right-click, and then just off the screen here, there's an option to edit subclip. And now what I can do is I can change the in and the out point here of this subclip. Now, I can't go longer than the original clip's duration, but I can change the in and out point. So I could scrub this back a little bit, and it'll show you that now the start has shifted -2 seconds and 7 frames. I could make the end point a little bit longer. And I can also take off this restriction that restricts the trims to subclip boundaries. And you can see what it's done there. It's made this clip longer, and it's also removed that restriction. So you do have options either way, but making subclips is another valuable tool in speeding up your workflow, because now if I want to add this butter going into the microwave shot throughout this edit for whatever reason, and I'm not saying that you should or you need to in this particular edit, but you definitely will find uses for making subclips. Now it's searchable in my project panel, and now I have it ready to go and already clipped out, so I don't have to keep coming back to this microwave cutaway clip and trimming out little parts that I want to use. And you can imagine if I had a much longer clip, say several minutes or even an hour, it would be much more convenient to make several subclips from that instead of scrubbing through the entire thing every time I wanted to find a little element or a little bit of action that I wanted to use for my sequence. In the next lesson, you're going to learn how to get in here and start editing in the timeline. So check that out coming up next.